This is the Ohio Bus Line story. I'm Cody Globe. Ohio Bus Line was founded in 1925 to serve residents in the northern tri-state, Kentucky, Ohio, and Indiana region, and served until January of 1972 when it dropped off its last passenger. Ohio Bus Line served communities like Hamilton, a manufacturing center, Oxford to Miami University, and all the way up to Dayton, so passengers could get off the Ohio Bus Line coaches and join the Dayton RTA and go around that large, sprawling metropolis. Ohio Bus Line also went as far west as Richmond, Indiana, and it served every community in between. I'm here with John Niehaus, longtime transit fan and very much a regular Ohio Bus Line rider back when he was younger. John, thanks for joining me today.
Glad to be here.
And tell me about your experience with Ohio Bus Line.
Okay. Started when I was very young, when we moved out in the country near Trenton on a farm, and saw these buses running by. And at the time I was in grade school, and once we moved there, we started St. Stephen's School, which was on North 3rd Street in Hamilton. And Dad would bring us into school in the morning, and then we'd take the bus home at night to the farm. When we first got there, they were gray and white. Then they were blue and white. Then they became yellow and green. And I found out later on that this was a changeover from Cincinnati and Lake Erie, which had been an interurban rail route at one time, and then went through Greyhound, and then eventually became Ohio Bus, which it was until the very end. So that was our first introduction, and was catching the Ohio Bus home from in front of a little store at 3rd and Market Street, and riding out to the farm.
Nice.
So, and for a long time I could never figure out the blue, gray, and yellow until I got a little older and read a little bit of history and found out what was going on.
Right.
So I continued in high school, went to high school in downtown Cincinnati at the old Xavier High School on Sycamore Street, and there I had to ride the bus both ways. But Dad would bring me into the station in Hamilton in the morning, and I would take the route that went down Hamilton Avenue, and I'd get down to school just about 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I'd catch the 3 o'clock out of Greyhound Station at the end of the day, and that would go up Route 4 to Hamilton. And when we got in Hamilton, the station was on High Street at that time, over near the river, right next to the still existing City Hall. And there I would get off the Cincinnati to Hamilton bus, get on the Dayton bus, and ride it home to the farm. And we'd get out of class at 2:40, and I'd get home at 4:30. And many times, well, frequently, we'd be so loaded on the trip from Cincinnati to Hamilton that we'd get in late, and the Dayton bus would be gone.
Oh, fun.
Then I would catch the 5:30 Dayton bus.
Right.
And get home even later.
Some things never change.
But anyway, that was my first introduction to Ohio Bus, and it was a good one because I started becoming interested in it and started making these cardboard models, which are here. And this is one that's still kind of original yet. It hasn't been dressed up, but they were made out of shirt stiffener cardboards, because I was the oldest of 7. We didn't have much money to buy a bunch of toys and stuff, so they were made out of shirt stiffener cardboards with fountain pen ink to draw the stuff, and then pencil crayons to color them in. The wheels were made out of the same thing, and they're stuck on that body with a straight pin. Very low cost. Nice. And in more recent years, I have started to upgrade some of them. These are some. This was a small, I think about a 28-foot bus, so one of the smallest they had. And they gradually got up to 40-foot buses, and the first 40-foot buses were the 4507s, which is what that is, and then they went to the 4509s, and then they also had a whole fleet of interurbans.
Now, on a side note, John actually taught engineering, which is why all of these are so remarkably accurate, clearly.
or maybe I got into engineering because I did something like that.
It certainly seems
either
like
way.
it. Now, you had mentioned a little while ago, before we started filming, that you had clearance to go into the garage to take your measurements to do these models. How old were you at that time?
I was in high school.
Okay.
So basically what, like 13, 14, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when I rode these things, when I went down in the morning, I was usually studying. Xavier gave us 3 hours of homework every night, and some of it was written, so I had to do that at home. Some of it was reading, so I did that on the bus.
Okay.
Sometimes I was sick as a dog by the time I got down to school because of the motion sickness.
Right.
But anyway, I got to know a lot of the drivers and my interest in it, and I started in the afternoon. In the morning, I was usually reading my stuff, homework. But on the way home, I got to know the drivers more, beginning in the station, and one of them actually was my uncle, Bernard Eckstein, who was actually my uncle.
Okay.
And so once in a great while, I'd have fun riding with him. But we got to know each other, and because the loads were so heavy, the Hamilton, Wyoming, Glendale was preceded by the short-term Wyoming, Glendale.
Okay.
And they both leave with standing loads. And they got so heavy that the driver couldn't even see people getting on the bus. So I'd take care of the tickets for them sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Of course, you'd always look to make sure that there was no company representative. They usually have people that would ride once in a while to keep track of the drivers.
Oh, that has to be fun.
But apparently, none of them ever got in trouble because I did that a lot. And then we'd get into Hamilton. I'd change the roll signs over for wherever the bus was going next time. So it was kind of fun.
Had a nice volunteer hand in the business,
yeah,
too.
so I kind of became a part of the family there.
Right.
And enjoyed that. And then I said they let me in the garage, and I'm sure that was all part of it. Because, of course, fortunately, security wasn't as bad as it is now. I mean, I should say bad. It wasn't as tight as it is now.
Right.
Because you didn't have some of the things we've experienced in recent years. So yeah, I had a lot of latitude in that garage down there, and managed to make a lot of measurements, including all of the markings and everything else. So it was very good. So that was 4 years, and then when I got in college, I kind of got away from it for a little while. But, Ohio had a very extensive system. Basically, Cincinnati was a major hub. Hamilton was a hub, and then Dayton, and then Richmond in Indiana. It didn't all occur at one time. The Richmond service, I think, was started later. Okay. But it was part of it. But you could take a bus from Cincinnati, you go to Oxford, you could end up in Richmond. You could take it to get to Dayton. I believe there was some through route service to Dayton, which didn't go through Hamilton. Okay. I don't have it on there because I'm not exactly sure of that, but I think there was. And but you could very easily do it by taking the bus from Hamilton, Cincinnati to Hamilton, and then to Dayton. There were 2 routes to Dayton. There was the Route 4 route, they called it the Swordsville, and then the one that I rode on when we lived on the farm, which was the Hamilton-Trenton, because our farm was right south of Trenton. Dayton. So they branched out on the south end to serve 2 different areas there. Right. So.
And that would have brought service also to the amusement park there, La Swordsville, south of Middletown, back when it was thriving, I'm sure, unlike nowadays, rotting in the weeds, next to Route 4. So I'm sure that was probably a large draw on the bus line, too.
Oh. Yeah, because it went right by it. And they have frequent service. You know, it's not like, well, we'll have 3 buses a day or something like that. You know, you can go at 8 in the morning and you come back at 3 in the afternoon. Well, I only need to be there for an hour. Yeah. But yeah, they had hourly service on these routes.
And that's something we don't even see today in a lot of cases.
Right. But we had a different situation. You know, we didn't all have cars, and a lot of people had to ride it, and it was provided. And I guess it's the chicken and egg, which came first. You know, did the come in and people decide just to switch, and then
Mm-hmm.
because there was nothing left for the buses, they had to quit, or
Right.
or did people say, well, the buses are good, but we can do better with the cars? So.
Mm-hmm.
But at any rate, it's kind of a shame because it was a good system, it served a purpose, and there are probably still a lot of people that would get use of it.
Yeah.
Whether they're enough to make it survive financially, I don't know. And that's one reason why we have the metros today,
Mm-hmm.
publicly supported.
Yeah, and actually on a side note there, for viewers, there's, in the community that we both know very well, Hamilton, since I'm a Hamilton native, I still live there myself, we see nowadays the Butler County Regional Transit Authority comes in and then goes away and comes in and goes away regularly. I remember being in grade school at St. Joe's, downtown Hamilton, on 2nd Street, with BCRTA buses going by periodically, and then they went away because no one rode. And now suddenly I drive through Hamilton a couple weeks ago and see a 35-foot Gillig from BCRTA driving through. I don't even know where it goes. I didn't even know it was running again. I didn't know where they got those buses. That's one of these common themes that we've been seeing, ever since pretty well 1972 when Ohio Bus shut down.
Mm-hmm. Transit, of course, gets grants for capital improvements.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get a grant and buy buses,
Right.
but you don't get too much anymore for operating.
Okay.
So if they can't work out the operating, they may end up with a bus sitting there with...
Right.
OKI does try to, in its prioritization process, I happen to chair that subcommittee,
Mm-hmm.
but in the prioritization process, make sure that a bus doesn't get allocated somewhere that it's not going to use because they don't have the money to run.
Right.
Not to say that it doesn't happen, but
Yeah.
we should try. But yeah, it is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I remember some of my model buses. I've got a little Ford and a little GMC in the
Mm-hmm.
Hamilton City Lines colors. Not here
Nice.
today,
Right. Yeah, and that was another, one of a few of the systems that Ohio Bus Line essentially collaborated with, as John was talking about earlier. Cincinnati had the Cincinnati Transit Company running through town. Hamilton had their own bus service running through Hamilton. Dayton, to this day, still has a reasonably thriving bus and trackless trolley service going through the city of Dayton. Pretty well every community that Ohio Bus Line served, they went between communities, and people could hop on a local bus and take to a specific destination versus just a little transit center that Ohio Bus may have run. And that's a question I would pose to you, being a rider. Did they have those specific hubs that they would pick up and drop off at, or did they also have some supplementing stops in between those hubs on the routes?
You mean the Ohio routes?
Yeah.
Oh, they would pick up just about anywhere where someone would want to get on. They could follow, for example, the one that I rode home was went up Paddock Road, went up Reading Road,
Mm-hmm.
then went to Paddock,
Mm-hmm.
then went up Springfield Pike, then it diverged from there at Glendale, went up, picked up students from the school there,
Mm-hmm.
the public school, maybe St. Gabriel too, but it's a public school.
Mm-hmm.
Then turned, went back onto Route 4, and continued up Route 4 and dropped students off on the way.
Okay.
They'd get up into Hamilton at Fisher Body, which was a major employment center. I think they're
Mm-hmm.
gone completely now.
Yeah. Building still stands, but it's a pretty well rusted hulk of a building.
Right. But at that time, it was a very busy place. You'd
Mm-hmm.
get into Sims Road, and you'd come in with, a relatively small load,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd fill it all up again
Right.
and drop them off as you went on up into Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
So it was actually, at that point, it was providing a suburban service rather than an interurban service.
Right.
And using the same bus, which worked out very nicely.
Mm-hmm.
So some of us were already on it, riding it as an interurban,
Mm-hmm.
and all these other people were getting on, and of course, because there'd been enough people that got off, between Cincinnati and that point, there was
Right.
plenty of room. Once in a while, you still had a few standing. That's after the Fisher Body people got off. But
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, it worked out very well. The interurban ones had dropped off on the way. Now we picked up the suburban ones.
Mm-hmm.
We go into the station in downtown Hamilton. Yes, unfortunately, our lifestyle changes,
Mm-hmm.
and not necessarily always for the better.
Mm-hmm.
in the big picture,
Right.
like energy and all that kind of good stuff. But Ohio was a good system, and they ran that system. Edgar Hyman's was the last general manager, and Edgar ran that system as best he could right to the very end. He didn't just let it fall apart and walk away from it. So.